Dear students, welcome to today's English class. Today we have Unit 2 from our supplementary reader, Moments. The Adventures of Toto. The story is written by Ruskin. Ruskin is an Indian author of British descent. He lives in Lantur, Missouri, India. The Indian Council for Child Education has recognized his role in the growth of children's literature in India. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in the year 1992 for Our Trees Still Growing There, his novel in English. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1999 and the Padma Bhushan in 2014. This is a humorous and adventurous story of a naughty monkey named Toto. The writer's grandfather bought the monkey from a Tonka driver. The pranks played by Toto have been narrated in an interesting way and make the story a must-read for us, especially for children. Adventures of Toto. Have you ever had a baby monkey as a pet? Toto is a baby monkey. Let's find out whether he is mischievous or docile. Docile means obedient, friendly. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonka driver for the sum of 5 rupees. The Tonka driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough, and the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. A feeding trough means a large container for feeding animals. Tonka, horse cart. The writer's grandfather bought this monkey from a Tonka driver. The name of the monkey is Toto. And only 5 rupees was paid to the Tonka driver for this monkey. The Tonka driver had tied the little red-colored monkey to a feeding trough so that he could not run away. When the writer's grandfather saw the monkey, he had a desire to add him to the collection of animals which he had in his zoo at home. This grandfather already had a private zoo. He had animals and birds there. Father, after seeing the monkey with the Tonka driver, felt he is out of place. He is not supposed to be with the Tonka driver. He is supposed to be with with the grandfather. That's what he felt. So 5 rupees was paid, and the monkey, the Toto, is going to with our grandfather. Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone's good looks, also served as a third hand. he could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of each of his hands. So this Toto is a very pretty monkey, beautiful, handsome. Anyone would see him feel love towards him. Here certain words, Anglo-Indian, a person relating both Britain and India. Anglo-Indian persons, parents, one may be from India, the next one may be of British origin. They are called Anglo-Indian. As we know that our Ruskin bond belongs to an Anglo-Indian family. So he is familiar with the Anglo-Indians. That's why he used the Anglo-Indian, mentioned about Anglo-Indians in the story. Pickled, food that is preserved in vinegar. Pickle are familiar with you. I hope you are familiar with pickle. Scooping up, lifting. Ice cream are scooped up like that. Lifting. Scooping up means lifting. We are talking about a monkey, the special ways a monkey behaves. The writer gives a vivid description of Toto. He had bright, shiny eyes, which were full of mischief. We knew that from the beginning itself, there is some kind of mischief in Toto's eyes. We are going to see how he is and whom he is. The eyebrows were deeply set on his face. His teeth were like pearls, sharp and twinkling. Many ladies belonging to Anglo-Indian community got scared when they saw his teeth, which were displayed when he smiled. Whether a monkey will smile or not, any monkey will show its teeth to express its feelings. Toto's hands were dry and wrinkled as if they had been dried in the sun like pickled vegetables. He had a long tail. The speciality of animals are tails. For monkeys, they have got such a long tail. The writer's grandfather thought that the tail added to the good looks of an animal. Animals become more pretty or beautiful when they have tails. That's what according to grandfather, animals become beautiful when they have tails. So for Toto's tail was like a third hand for him. Here in the case of our little monkey Toto, the tail worked as a third hand. He can hang anywhere else. It helped him hang from the branch of a tree. He also used to lift objects which were beyond his hand's reach. As we have told, monkey has got such a long tail, which will help him as a third hand. And if there are certain things which are far away from the reach of his hands, he will stretch his tail and grab it. Then scoop it, scoop it up, lift it up. Grandmother always fussed when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. So it was decided that Toto's presence should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet opening into my bedroom wall, where he was tied securely, or so we thought, to a peg fastened tree into the wall. Here, where he was tied securely. So we thought. Who thought? Grandfather and the young author. Peg means a hook. The writer's grandmother was against the grandfather's attitude of habit of bringing new pets, birds and animals. Maybe she was not happy with having such a private zoo there. So the grandfather thought that they would conceal, they won't reveal this fact. From what fact? About the little monkey Toto, from grandmother, until she was in a good mood. If she is in a good mood, they could reveal that. Come and see the new comer, the new member in our private zoo, a little monkey. So they, for the time being, they wanted to hide the matter from their grandmother. At that time, they would disclose this to her. The writer and his grandfather secured Toto in a little cupboard in writer's room, in a cupboard on the wall. In order to be sure that the Toto did not escape, they tied him to a hook in the wall. Yes. Earlier, the Tonko driver tied him to a trough, here feeding trough. Here, grandfather and our young author tied him to a hook in the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental paper chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. The plug in the wall had been wrenched from its socket, and my school blazer, which had been hanging there, was in shreds. I wondered what grandmother would say, but grandfather didn't worry. He seemed pleased with the Toto's performance. There are a few words, we will see them. Ornamental means decorative, naked, uncovered. Here the meaning. Wrench, broke. Socket, an attachment. Shreds, cut into thin slices, into pieces. The writer and his grandfather went to the Toto after a few hours. They came back. What do you see there? The sight was shocking, at least for the little author, young author. Toto had torn the decorative wallpaper. There was a wallpaper, beautiful, which was selected by grandfather, which was ornamental, decorative, which was very beautiful. That is no more. He had broken the hook and had escaped from his binding. He was tied and bound to a hook, but he pulled out and he is free now. Also, he tore the writer's blazer into thin pieces. Blazer means overcoat, which is nowadays a school blazer, part of their uniform coat. It's like an overcoat. So that is into thin pieces. Yes, a little monkey could do only that much in that given time. But grandfather is very happy about his performance. Actually, author feels that with the given this much time, this monkey is this much naughty and mischievous. How they could reveal the matter to the grandmother, and what would be their reaction? What would be her reaction to having such a monkey there? That's what author thinks. He is clever, said grandfather. Given time, I am sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window. Yes, if they were late, he might have been escaped from there. His presence in the house still a secret. Toto was now transferred to a big cage in the servants' quarters, where a number of grandfather's pets lived very sociably together. A tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while my pet goat. But the monkey wouldn't allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day to collect his pension in Saharanpur, decided to take him along. He is clever, said grandfather. The grandfather was quite delighted to Toto's adventure. He felt that Toto was very clever. He said that if they would have given him more time, he would have tied the thin pieces of the writer's torn blazer into a rope and would have escaped out of the window. Here, sociably means a friendly manner, friendly with the others. Toto was shifted to a servant's quarter. He was put in a cage. He would live with the other pets in grandfather's zoo. The zoo comprised of tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a squirrel, and the writer's pet goat. Writer had a goat. Toto was very mischievous, as we know. He did not let the animals sleep at night. They will go and disturb them. The writer's grandfather had to leave for Saharanpur the next day to collect his pension. He decided to take the Toto along as he was unmanageable. Nobody was able to manage this Toto. So grandfather decided not to keep the Toto there. Take Toto also to collect the pension. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterwards. A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. This with some straw at the bottom. Because this with some straw at the bottom became his new abode. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite his way through. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air, an exhibition that attracted a curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. The author says, unfortunately, he could not accompany grandfather. Whether it is fortunate or unfortunate depends upon. Abode means a home. The writer was, for the time being, that bag became our monkey's home. That's it. The writer was disappointed. He was unhappy as he could not accompany his grandfather and Toto on the trip. Going with the grandfather in a train, and always a naughty monkey also with them. So he missed the chance to go with the grandfather. His grandfather narrated the happenings of the trip to him later. He had got a special bag for Toto. It was made up of strong material, canvas. He placed some dry grass, straw at the bottom of the bag. On the trip, the bag would be Toto's home as he would live in it. The bag had a zipper on top of it. The writer, his grandfather, ensured that when the bag was closed, Toto would not be able to escape out of it. Neither could he come out of the opening as it was closed with a zipper, nor could it bite the strong canvas material in order to run away. Still, Toto made unsuccessful attempts to come out of the bag. Due to this, many times the bag would roll on the floor or it would certainly jump in the air. When monkey inside the bag is jumping, bag also will jump along with him. When monkey inside the bag roll, bag also will roll. These movements were noticed by people. Definitely people will notice this kind of a moving bag is with you on the railway platform and made them curious to know what was inside the bag. So that's, we will see the next paragraph. Toto remained in the bag as far as Shagadanpur, but while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway Turnstile, Toto suddenly popped his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. The poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind, and much to grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You will have to pay for it accordingly." In vain did grandfather take Toto out of the bag, or in vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over as his fare. Quadruped means a four-legged animal. Turnstile, that's a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal lamps fixed in a vertical post, allowing only one person to pass through. That is, only only one person can go through that gate. That will be moving like this. So at that time, who came out? A Toto. Toto remained secure in grandfather's bag till Shagadanpur. At the Shagadanpur railway station, the writer's grandfather was taking out his ticket to cross the turnstile. At that time, Toto peeked out of the bag and smiled at the ticket collector. Very nice way. Annoyance to anchor someone, the ticket collector was astonished. He wanted to see a monkey in grandfather's bag. He recovered quickly and asked grandfather to pay ticket money for traveling with a dog. Vain means an unusual attempt. Quadruped, as already I have told you, an animal which has 4 feet, a fair ticket price. Grandfather was unsuccessful in explaining to the ticket collector that Toto was a monkey and not a dog. He insisted that Toto was not even an animal with 4 feet, because he is able to walk with the front to their hands. But the ticket collector was famed that the Toto fell in the category of dogs. It's a dog. So grandfather had to pay 3 rupees to Toto's ticket. Now the railway is charging 3 rupees for just have a travel for that 5 rupees monkey in a train. Then grandfather, just to get his own back, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals?" The ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it with his forefinger, gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant look, and said, "No charge, it's not a dog." Then, if it is 3 rupees for this monkey, grandfather took another tortoise out of his bag and showed, if I should pay 3 rupees for this monkey, what you should charge for this tortoise? That was the question. Then he examined it, and ticket collector told that it's not a dog. So free of cost we can go with it. To get his son back is an idiom to take revenge. Anyway, though the Toto is not a dog, ticket collector made him to pay for it. Grandfather was disappointed, and in order to take revenge from the ticket collector, he took out his pet tortoise from his pocket and asked if he was supposed to buy a ticket for it too. The collector took a look at the tortoise and pushed it slightly, announced that grandfather was not required to buy a ticket for it, as it did not fall in the category of a dog, whereas the monkey will fall in the category of a dog. A strange logic. Product means pushed. When Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable, where he had for a companion the family donkey Nana. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. To his surprise, he found Nana without apparent cause, pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head as far as possible from a bundle of hay. Stable means a building set apart and adapted for keeping horses or animals, livestock animals. Halter, a strap or loop placed around the head of a horse or other animal, used for leading or tethering it, guiding it. Uh, the grandfather finally came to know, our grandmother finally came to know about our Toto's presence in the house. Definitely, if you have such a naughty monkey at home, definitely people at home will come to know about it. She allotted him a space in the stable along with the family donkey Nana. The name of the donkey at their home is Nana. So our Toto got a permanent place nearby the donkey. On the first night in the stable, grandfather visited. First night he was staying there. Grandfather went and see how the things are going on there. He found Nana restless, pulling its rope in order to stay away from the heap of hay. Yes. What did grandfather saw? The donkey is pulling itself away from the where it was tied. Grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches, and she jerked back, dragging Toto with her. He had fastened onto her long ears with his sharp little teeth. Toto and Nana never became friends. For Nana, haunches means back. Grandfather hit Nana on the back in order to stop it because it is pulling away from him. Nana jumped back with a jerk and Toto was dragged along with her. Where the Toto was? He was biting. Toto was biting Nana's long ears with Toto's sharp little teeth. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was the large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand, then gradually step into the bath. First one foot, then the other, as he had seen me doing, until he was into the water up to his neck. Once comfortable, he would take the soap in his hands or feet and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feelings would be hurt and he would refuse to go on with his bath. This Toto and Nana never became friends. Now we see another performance of our Toto in winter season. Toto enjoyed having a warm bath. He would pretend to be selfish, and before starting his bath, he would check the temperature of the water, or he just imitate all these things done by the young mother. While he was taking bath, also he will check the temperature of water with the finger, and he would step one step into the water tub, then one foot at a time. Finally, he would sit in the water with his face out of it up to the neck. Then he would rub himself with a soap. He'll apply soap. When the water became cold, he would run out of it to the stove in the kitchen in order to dry himself. Toto got annoyed if he was laughed upon. If someone goes and laughs at his way he takes the bath, he will get offended. He will stop his bath that day. He would get hurt then, refuse to take bath. The writer recalls an incident when Toto had almost boiled himself. Now we are going to see in the next paragraph. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea. And Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid, finding the water just warm enough for a bath. He got in, with his head sticking out from the open kettle. This was just fine for a while, until the water began to boil. Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold outside, sat down again. He continued hopping up and down for some time, until grandmother arrived and hauled him, half boiled, out of the kettle. It's a funny thing. Hauled him means pull him out. In a large kettle, water was boiling on a stove one day. Toto climbed up the stove and removed the lid from it. He felt the temperature that the water was warm enough to take a bath. Okay, it's perfect. He entered the kettle. You should understand it is above the stove and fire flames are there. The water started boiling. It became hot for Toto. After a time, the water will start to boil now. He thought of coming out of the kettle, but as the temperature outside was cold for him, he stayed in it. He wanted to come out when it felt hot inside, but outside it is cold, so he again sat there. Toto kept on jumping in the kettle for a while. It was when a grandmother arrived, that she took half-boiled monkey out of the kettle. If there is a part of the brain especially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. If there is a part in our brain that governs our ability to create mischief or do something naughty or pranks, then that part in this monkey Toto's brain was highly developed. That's the opinion of our author, as he had great capacity to do mischiefs. He was always busy doing mischief, pranks. Whenever the writer's aunt passed him, he tried to tear their dresses. This monkey will tear their dress. One day, at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. My grandmother screamed and Toto threw a plate at her. One of my aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree. The dish still in his arms, he remained there all afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined on finishing every grain. And then, in order to spite grandmother, who had screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and chatted with delight when it broke into 100 pieces. Spite a desire to hurt, annoy or offend someone. Chatted, the sound made by monkey. The writer recollects another incident when Toto created a lot of mischief or havoc in their family. Once At a lunchtime, a dish of rice, that's pulao, was placed on the dining table. When the family reached to eat, they found Toto eating it. Who is eating? The writer's grandmother screamed at Toto, and in response, he threw a plate at her. The writer's grandmother, when the aunt tried to catch Toto, he threw a glass of water in their face. When the grandfather arrived, the police at home, Toto left the place through the window with a dish of rice along with him. He had taken the pulao with him. Toto remained out the entire afternoon. He didn't come back. He sat on a branch of a jackfruit tree, determined to eat all the rice. As the grandmother had screamed on him, he wanted to annoy her further, and so after eating the rice, he threw the dish. It broke into several pieces. Very naughty, how Toto is. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that. We were not well-to-do and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, cloths, curtains, and wallpaper. So grandfather found the Tonka driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. Finally, grandfather realized that Toto was not suitable to be kept at home. They could not afford the frequent losses of that he gave them. He tore clothes, curtains, wallpapers, and broke dishes, even eat away pulao and foods that is meant for the family members. So grandfather sold Toto back to the same Tonka driver for a sum of 3 rupees. It was bought for 5 rupees, now sold back for 3 rupees. Dear students, we have come to the end of our story. Ruskin Bond's grandfather liked to collect animals and had a private zoo at home. Once he bought this Toto monkey from a Tonka driver for 5 rupees. Initially, it was kept secretly because grandmother disliked the animals. But Toto was very mischievous. When the owner and grandfather hid Toto in cupboard and tied him to a hook, he broke the hook and caused havoc or destruction in that room. The next day, when he was kept in a servant's room along with the other animals, he did not let them to sleep them at all at night. As grandfather had gone to Shagarampur for a work for collecting pension, if I am correct, he decided to take the monkey along with him. He carried Toto in strong bag made of canvas and closed the zip nicely and took him with him. Toto made unsuccessful attempts to get out of the bag, which made the bag to jump and roll. This aroused a curiosity around the fellow passengers at the railway station. At the Shagarampur railway station, while ticket examiner was checking the tickets, Toto peeked out of the bag and smiled at the ticket collector. And the ticket collector declared it's a dog, and grandfather had to pay 3 rupees. When Toto was accepted by grandmother, it was given a place in the stable with the donkey Nana. Toto did not get along with the Nana as well. He always disturbed the Nana, and they never became friends. Toto enjoyed taking bath in warm water during the winter season. Now, there was an incident, it was like a ceremony. He enjoyed the way he takes bath, that also described in the story. One day there was an incident happened. He happened to be himself in a boiling water, half boiled himself. And another day on afternoon, he ate a family meal, their rice. He threw the empty dish from the tree and broke it into several pieces. So fed up with Toto's mischiefs, grandfather finally decided to sell him back. Realized that he could not be kept him at home. Finally, he found the same Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for a sum of 3 rupees. I hope, dear students, you enjoyed the story. Uh, you have to read this story. In the textbook, in the glossary section, only 2 words are given. Turnstile, a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arms fixed to a vertical post, allowing only one person at a time to pass through. And second word is halter, a rope or strap placed around the head of a horse or other animal, used for leading or tethering it. That is for our donkey. Nana, it is used. Now we have few questions. Think about it. Now we will see these questions answers. How does Toto come to grandfather's private zoo? Toto was in the captivity of a Tonga tribe owner. The grandfather gets sympathetic with the monkey and thinks that his private zoo would be a better place for Toto. So he purchased Toto from the Tonga driver for 5 rupees. Toto was a pretty monkey. In what sense is Toto pretty? Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath the deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicker as his tail, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, served as a third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. Why does grandfather take Toto Saharanpur, and how? Why does the ticket collector insist on calling Toto a dog? Toto was a real menace for every living soul in the household. Other animals in grandfather's zoo were at Toto's mercy even during night. So grandfather decided to provide some relief to other animals in the zoo and thought of taking Toto to Shagaranpur. The ticket collector was following his rule books, as there seems to be no rule for fixing monkey's fare. So he equated Toto with the dog. Ticket collector's ingenuity tried to categorize all pets of certain size as dogs. How does the Toto take bath? Where has he learned to do this? How does Toto almost boil himself alive? Toto takes bath in a tub of warm water. It puts its legs in the water one by one and applies soap as well. As monkeys are good at aping others, so Toto has learned proper steps of bathing while watching the other doing same. Toto is fond of bathing with warm water. So once having tested the warmth of a water in the kettle, Toto sits in the kettle. Probably he is not intelligent enough to understand the risk of boiling water, so he pops his head up and down in the kettle. But grandmother found out him and pulled him out. Why does the author say Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long? Though Toto was a pretty and clever, he was very mischievous. He brought a lot of damage to the house by breaking dishes, tearing clothes and curtains. He also scared the visitors by tearing holes in their dresses. Furthermore, he didn't get along well with other animals in the house too. One day Toto crossed the limits by picking up a dish of pulao and running on the branch to eat to a jackfruit tree. When scolded, he threw off the plate and broke it. That's when grandfather decided to had enough of Toto because he couldn't bear the losses that he incurred because of Toto's mischief. Talk about it. Do you have pet? Do you have a pet? Is your pet mischievous? Tell the class about it. Since you are at home, the next time when we meet each other, we can talk about your pets. I'll give you an assignment to describe about your pet. If you have a pet, if you do not have a pet, we will talk about a pet. Imagine that you have a pet. Then we will talk about that. Now you have some suggested reading. My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. Grandfather's Private Zoo by Ruskin. Then Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. You might have read, some of you might have read these books, but I ask everybody to read these books. Until we meet in the next English class, dear students, take care. Thank you.